A research team diving deep into the ocean encounters colossal prehistoric sharks. Welcome back to Movies Explained. Today's film is an action-adventure from 2023 titled Meg 2: The Trench. The film picks up 5 years after the events of the first Meg. Former rescue diver Jonas Taylor is now concealed within a container on a large ship traversing the Philippine Sea. On the deck, the crew is instructed to dump barrels of radioactive waste into the sea. Jonas sneaks around the ship to take pictures of this activity, as well as the related documents on illegal radioactive waste dumping. He gets caught in the act by the crew, so he fights his way back out to the deck. The crew and captain corners Jonas on top of the containers, so he says they're all arrested for illegal dumping. The captain laughs before Jonas throws himself into the water. Just as they thought Jonas would have to swim 200 miles to shore, a small plane flown by Jonas's friends, Regis and Mac, approaches the ship before picking him up from the water. Once they land, he gives the SD card full of the evidence he took to Mac in hopes of stopping the illegal dumping. Meanwhile, at the Oceanic Institute in China, the now teenager Mei Ying reminds her uncle Juming Zhang to attend the company's event. Mac and Jonas also attend, with Mei Ying helping her stepfather with his tie. The event is for the 10th anniversary of the Oceanic Institute, hosted by the Institute's wealthy donor, Hilary Driscoll. Juming is called to the stage as the Institute's current director, inheriting the position from his late father, Minwei Zhang. He gives a touching speech to honor his father and also his sister, Mei Ying's mother, and Jonas's wife Su Yin, who has recently passed away. Then, he introduces the audience to a female megalodon named Heike, whom the Institute raised in captivity after they found her injured as a pup. He also introduces the new submersible technology that allows them to easily pass the thermocline layer in the Mariana Trench that separates the Meg's world from ours. Back in the Institute, Mei Ying wants to come to the Mana 1 facility with Jonas because she also wants to dive the trench like her mother. Jonas refuses because it's too dangerous for her. Surprisingly, they receive news that Juming is diving into the Megalodon's tank. Despite Jonas and Mei Ying warning him that it's a bad idea, Juming thinks he has a special bond with Heike since he has trained her since she was a pup. He uses a clicker to call her, which works the first time, but then the team notices she's moving too fast towards Juming with an elevated heart rate. Everyone panics when it seems that Heike has devoured Juming, but he suddenly enters the room alive, to everyone's relief. Juming is worried because Heike has been acting strange this past week. Later, the team flies to Mana 1 with Mei Ying, who ends up coming with them. They prepare 2 dive teams to descend to 25,000 feet underwater to collect samples and log new species. Meanwhile, Heike goes on a rampage and decides to break through her tank's cage and free herself into the ocean. During the dive, it seems like a normal dive for them, while the crew banters with each other. While they're distracted, Mei Ying sneaks into Jonas's team's submarine. Jonas, upon discovering her, considers resurfacing despite Mei Ying's protests. Their attention is abruptly diverted when they detect an approaching megalodon. The crew is alarmed, noticing that the Meg is coming from the direction of the shore rather than from the thermocline. To their astonishment, they identify the creature as Heike, who is racing toward them just as they are about to breach the thermocline. Having crossed the boundary, they believe they are safe, only to find Heike still hot on their trail. The team turns on their predator countermeasures before they realize that they're surrounded by 2 other Megs. One passes them, the biggest Meg they've ever seen to date. Juming wants to change the dive plan to observe what the Megs seem to be called to, with Jonas only agreeing if he can immediately abort the mission if any danger arises, especially since Mei Ying is on board. The team then follows Heike's tracker, venturing into areas of the trench they haven't previously explored. They see that the Megs have gathered because it's mating season. Their scanner detects what seems to be a wreck of a seafloor station, but then they realize that the station is still in operation and there's a submarine hovering above. In that submarine, a man named Montez is instructing his crew to work faster to mine because they need to blow up the trench. Spotting the Mana 1 crew nearby and realizing they've likely seen the station, Montez prematurely detonates the explosives even with his crew still at the site. The explosion sends debris flying, and the Mana 1 crew scrambles to dodge it. Montez's sub, however, isn't as fortunate and is destroyed by a Meg. Back at the station, The staff discerns that the explosion created a massive rupture in the thermocline, severing all communication links with the submerged vessels. Mac instructs Jess to ready the rescue sub, but she reports that it's been sabotaged and rendered inoperative. Miraculously, Jonas, Mei Ying, Rigas, and their co-diver Sal survive and manage to re-establish communication with the station. They brief Mac on their plan to use emergency dive suits to rendezvous with the rescue sub. However, once apprised of the sabotage, Jonas devises an alternative strategy. They will use the suits to traverse the ocean floor, aiming to reach the seafloor station and secure a path to the surface. The team suits up, arming themselves before descending onto the ocean floor. There, they rendezvous with Juming and his group, who have also decided to make for the seafloor station. Though momentarily entranced by the mesmerizing beauty of the dark abyss, a sudden snake attack jolts them back to reality. One of the crew, Lance, notices something big behind him before the rest of the crew hears him panic. His voice disappears and only his helmet is left, making them even more wary as one of them is now dead. In the other sub, Montes is working on fixing the damage and successfully restoring comms to his boss, who turns out to be Hillary. She wants them all dead, because if they find out what she and Montes are doing in the trench, they would face severe consequences. Meanwhile, at the surface, Mac instructs DJ and Jess to find out who's behind the sabotage and the explosions. DJ informs Mac that someone deleted the security footage of the whole station, but Mac thinks he can get a backup that's stored through satellite encryption. At the bottom of the trench, the Mono 1 team almost reaches the seafloor station, just as their oxygen reserves are thinning. Suddenly, they are attacked by a school of predator fish, and Juming is forced to turn on a bright flare to scare them away despite it attracting the Megs instead. The team now fights to get away from the Meg. After losing 2 more members, they finally manage to enter the station. The remaining Mono 1 crew explores the seemingly abandoned station and enters the control station, where they uncover evidence that the station was a hub for extracting trillions of dollars in rare earth metals. They re-established comms with Jess and updated their situation. Jess shows them that there are escape pods across the station, so they head there. As they progress, Juming stumbles upon technology unmistakably based on his designs. He's left pondering how this covert team got hold of his work. The team eventually reaches the escape pod bay, but the doors abruptly slam shut from a remote command. Through the video comms, Jess's betrayal becomes apparent. She's been working with Hillary the entire time. To mock the Mono 1 team, Jess activates one of the limited escape pods in front of them. With Hillary also on the feed, Jess presents Rigas with a cruel ultimatum. To save Mei Ying, she must kill Jonas using the spear gun. As Rigas hesitates, aiming the weapon at Jonas, he shouts at her to pull the trigger, but she cannot bring herself to harm her friend. Hillary finally reveals that she's the leader of the rogue operations, and she'll be using Juming's tech to continue mining the trench. After Juming destroys the comm system, Hillary informs Jess that she has sent a crew to kill off the remaining Mono 1 team, simultaneously initiating a flood by opening vents into their chamber. To regain control of the system and prevent remote manipulation from the surface, Juming realizes that they need to access the main interface located in the control room on the opposite side of the station. With time running out, Jonas makes a bold decision. He opts to venture out through an operational airlock without any protective suit. The immense water pressure means he can survive for barely a minute, but he's willing to risk it all for the safety of his daughter and friends. Taking a deep breath, Jonas dives into the depths, pushing through the cold and darkness. He manages to reach the airlock on the other side, but the exertion and pressure take their toll, causing him to lose consciousness momentarily. When he regains his senses, he's met with the unexpected sight of Montes hovering over him. Although Jonas can't recall, Montes hints at a prior encounter between them. They get into a fight around the station, while the rest of the team battles to keep the rising water at bay in the escape pod chamber. After knocking Montes out, Jonas manages to override the station's control and opens the bay's door, saving his friends. Jonas plans to use Montes' sub to get them to the surface, but since it's somewhat damaged, Rigas is afraid they won't get past the Megs. Acting quickly, Juming proposes a diversion. By illuminating the entire station, they can attract the Megs towards it instead. Braving the danger, he dashes out to activate the station's luminous lights. He barely makes it back to the sub in time for them to escape. As they ascend, They witness the massive hole in the thermocline caused by the explosions, but Juming says it will close back up after an hour. Meanwhile, it turns out that Montes is still alive and uses his dive suit to hitch a balloon ride to the surface. At the Mana 1 station, Hillary dispatches a helicopter filled with her armed men, intent on eliminating the entire team. DJ comes over to Mac, who is looking through the security footage, as they realize that Jess is the one who sabotaged the rescue sub. She and 3 soldiers come knocking at the door, ordering DJ and Mac to come out. Fortunately, the two manage to escape with the help of pepper spray and a taser. At the same time, Jonas and the others reach the surface, only to find the Mana 1 station swarming with Hillary's troops. They sneak around and split up, with Jonas and Juming out to find DJ and Mac, while Regis and Mei Ying try to secure an escape boat. DJ and Mac narrowly evade capture multiple times, thanks to DJ's unexpected combat skills. Their luck runs out when they find themselves cornered with rifles aimed at their heads. As they're being escorted by the soldiers, Juming cleverly poses as an unsuspecting Chinese worker. This diversion allows Jonas to ambush the soldiers, freeing his friends. Near the waterfront, Regis and Mei Ying spots 3 Megs rapidly approaching. In the control room, Montes enters and immediately kisses Jess before informing her that Jonas and his crew are in the station. She orders the soldiers to find them and tells Hillary about the 3 Megs that they know have gone through the thermocline. While talking about their plans, Jess ensures that the station is Meg-proof, but she's proven wrong as a Meg bite through the glass and devours Jess while Montes scrambles away from the cascading water. On the boat, Jonas is preparing explosive-rigged harpoons to kill the Megs, but Juming says they should head to the nearest island to warn them that the Megs may attack. The island is called Fun Island, which is a resort island filled with tourists on vacation and swimming in the sea. Upon their arrival, they discover to their horror that one of the Megs has already targeted tourist vessels. Racing against time, they manage to alert the beachgoers, urging them to evacuate the waters. On the other side of the island, Hillary arrives on a helicopter moments after Montes disables the island's phone signals. Venturing into the dense island jungle, the duo encounters a shocking sight: a dinosaur, previously thought to be extinct, charging towards them. The ensuing commotion and gunshots from their team drives panicked tourists into the water, thinking it's a safer escape than the jungle. DJ and Regis are given the crucial task of establishing emergency communications. They stumble upon a satellite phone during their search, but their mission is suddenly interrupted when another dinosaur spots them, sending them running for safety. Jonas, Juming, and Mac want to use the harpoons to kill the Megs, but since there's only one jet ski, Jonas brings all the harpoons to kill them alone. Successfully taking down one of the colossal creatures, he soon finds himself being pursued by another Meg. To complicate matters, Montes begins shooting at Jonas, trying to kill him. After a heart-stopping chase with the Meg hot on his tail, Jonas faces off with Montes in a deadly showdown. In the heat of the moment, Jonas lands a powerful kick that sends Montes careening into the waters. The Meg, sensing an easy meal, leaps out and devours Montes in a single gulp. On the island, Juming has an idea to get more explosive, so he goes with Mac to a shed to get ammonium nitrate. Unfortunately, they are caught by Hillary's men, who are running from the dinosaurs. DJ and Regis also enter the shed to be their hostage, but Juming manages to open the shed door, causing the dinosaurs to attack the soldiers while the Mana 1 team runs away. While DJ and Regis call for help, Mac and Juming head to steal Hillary's helicopter. However, they realize that she has been killed by one of the dinosaurs. Juming distracts the dinosaur while Mac takes over the helicopter. After some mishaps with the fuel, they manage to take off. They head to the seas, where another creature, a giant octopus, is attacking people. Juming sees Mei Ying trying to help people there, so they lower the helicopter in an attempt to help her escape. However, the helicopter gets dragged down by the octopus, causing it to crash. Juming jumps off into the water, but the octopus catches him. He uses a makeshift bomb to blow it up, but the octopus is still alive. Juming manages to escape after the octopus gets into a fight with the Meg, which eventually kills it. Jonas is reunited with Mei Ying, but she tells him that Juming and Mac are in trouble. Juming dives toward the downed chopper to help Mac, but a looming Meg speeds towards them. Jonas distracts it using a fragment of the helicopter's rotor. As it lunges at Jonas, he wields the jagged metal, killing the creature. Finally, the three men thought they were safe until the last Megalodon appeared. Juming is not worried because it turns out to be Heike, and he uses his clicker to make her go away. After everyone is saved from the Megalodons, the giant octopus and the dinosaurs, help finally arrives, and the Mono One team can finally rest on the beach. The movie ends with the team pouring themselves drinks to celebrate their successful mission. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel for more videos.